A dash cam is the easiest way to protect yourself in the event of an accident. These little devices allow you to prove to a courtroom or an insurance company that you're telling the truth. That's priceless. Dash cams offer a lot of benefits, but I don't see a whole lot of people talking about the full story. So in this video, I'm going to install this A229 Plus from Viofo in my 4Runner, and I'm going to share with you how a dash cam can protect you and potentially cause you some trouble. Imagine you've just been in a car accident, but don't worry, it wasn't your fault. Somebody pulled out in front of you and you just didn't have enough time to react. The good news is you talk to the other driver and she's admitting that she's totally at fault. Phew! But as you wait for the police to arrive, she has time to think. She realizes that one more at-fault accident is gonna spike her insurance rates. So she lies to the cop and says that you ran a red light. You just found yourself in a classic game of he said, she said, and it's up to you to convince the officer and your insurance company that she's lying. But as the cop walks up to you to get your side of the story, your heart sinks. You recognize him. You see, you stole his girlfriend back in high school, and he's held a grudge ever since. What are the chances that he's gonna believe your side of the story? Well, that's where having a dash cam comes in. These things eliminate the whole he said, she said game and replace it with cold, hard facts. Coffee time. Yeah. This is the Viofo A229 Plus, and it's one of the most loved dash cams on the market today. This video isn't sponsored or anything, they just sent it over to me to test it out and see what I think. It ranks highly on Amazon, and it's performed pretty well on tests from the larger YouTube channels like Linus Tech Tips and Project Farm. The A229 Plus features two cameras, one front and one rear, which both record in 2K footage. It uses Sony Starvis 2 IMX675 sensors, which help with dynamic range and increased light sensitivity. Basically, it provides higher quality footage, and the results from the people that have tested this one head-to-head with other cameras seems to back that up. Those are all the nerdy details, and to be perfectly honest, I don't really care about all that. All I want to know is, does it work? So let's pop it into the 4Runner here and find out. Now, I'm choosing to hardwire my dash cam into my 4Runner for two reasons. Number one, it enables parking mode, which is a feature that basically allows it to record even when the vehicle is turned off. And number two is that the cigarette lighter, or the 12-volt outlet, as the kids say these days, is really inconvenient for powering something like this. It's in a bad location and you have to leave this compartment open if you have something plugged into it, so it looks really cluttered and it's just not the proper way of doing things. So I'm hardwiring it, but there's a problem. Some companies include a few ATA fuses to tap into your fuse box with the hardwiring kit. Viofo doesn't. In their defense, I think it's probably because different vehicles use different size fuses in the cabin. So rather than provide you with a few of each size, you have to go out and find the right ones for your vehicle. Personally, I'd rather them include some extras since you already have to purchase the hardwire kit separately. Luckily, I still had a few sitting around from other projects, so I connected them to the hardwire kit and we're good to go. Now you gotta find a fuse that has constant power and one that has switched power. Because I like you, I'm gonna give you a chance to make fun of me. This voltmeter is from the caveman era. I'm pretty sure it was their second design right after they invented the wheel. Whatever, it works. Shut up. Next, I mounted the dash cam to the windshield. But first, I cleaned the glass with some window cleaner before applying the static sticker to the windshield. They say this makes it easier to swap it into another vehicle, and since my windshield is clearly cracked, I'm gonna have to swap it out at some point. The rest was pretty straightforward. I plugged in the USB cable and ran it along the headliner, down the A-pillar, and in behind the dash. It's worth noting that I went back and changed a few things with the installation after the fact. I switched the low voltage cutoff setting on the hardwire kit from 11.8 volts to 12 volts because the lower setting ended up killing the battery in the 4Runner. Now, I'm pretty sure the battery on this thing is on its way out, but still, it's a good idea to have that set for 12 volts so it doesn't let it drain too far down to the point where you just can't start it if you're out somewhere. I rerouted the wiring around the side curtain airbag and behind the A-pillar because I don't really want to find out what happens if an airbag goes off with a dog collar wrapped around it. I changed the direction of the ATA fuse taps in my fuse box because technically they're supposed to go a certain way. I shared that with a couple other rules for using those things in my newsletter last week. I changed the ground from the bolt that you saw me attach it to one that's on a big metal bracket hidden underneath the dashboard. I feel like that's probably a better ground. I ended up only installing the forward-facing camera because 4Runners are awesome. What I mean by that is, the rear-facing camera is supposed to stick onto the rear window, but these 4Runners, the rear window can slide down, so it wouldn't make much sense to mount something to it. A few tips for those of you that want to get a dash cam. First of all, you're going to want to mount it in an area of the windshield that gets cleared by your windshield wipers, because otherwise you're not going to have any visibility when it's raining outside. We've already talked about it, but be careful around side curtain airbags because you don't want the wires wrapped around them because you're too lazy to just pull that A-pillar trim off and run it alongside. You're going to want to use what's called a high endurance SD card. Now, I've got the optional one that comes from Viofo themselves. You have to pay extra for this. But this way I don't have to worry about any compatibility issues. This is the right one for the camera. These cards only have a certain amount of space on them, so they're constantly being rewritten. So it's important that you make sure you get one that's designed for that. Finally, a polarizing filter really helps with image quality, and it also eliminates the glare from the windshield. Some reasons why you might want to get a dash cam. There are a lot of stories going around about insurance fraud lately. Basically, people bait you into getting into an accident, they claim it was all your fault, they fake injuries, they try to sue you. Freaking losers. A dash cam can really protect you from situations like that. Some of the review geeks on here are really concerned about image quality and the ability to read like every single license plate. But I think they might be missing the point here. The role of a dash cam is just to show what happened and who was at fault. Here's a little tip for you. If you really think that getting a license plate number is important, leave the sound setting turned on the dash cam and just read the license plate number out loud in the moment when something happens. That way you're not relying on the image quality to get the information, and it also means that pretty much any dash cam will be helpful regardless of the price. Now, I'm not like a lot of car enthusiasts. I don't just listen to what a content creator says when they're reviewing a product. That's not good enough for me. I like to read the comments on videos and social posts down below from people that have actually bought the product and used it. I even polled you guys specifically to find out what you thought about dash cams. And what I learned was there's some downsides to these things. So let's talk about it. A very common complaint that people have is that the channels that review products do so when they're brand new. It's kind of like going on a first date with somebody. They're going to be on their best behavior. You won't find out that they fart every time they sneeze until later on. And some of you are concerned about how long these things will continue to work properly. I get it. Unfortunately, I'm moving away from doing product review videos, so don't hold your breath for a long-term update. But any updates that I have will definitely make it into my weekly newsletter, so if you want to stay up to date on everything that I've got going on, there's going to be a link down below for you to sign up. It's totally free. Let's see how long this Viofo camera lasts. I think it'll do well. The next complaint that people have is about the image quality. It seems like some of these tech nerds are expecting to be able to count the nose hairs on every single person that walks down the street. It's just not realistic from a wide-angle lens, in my opinion. And yeah, if the footage from a dash cam sucks, it could be the camera's fault. But think about the way that these are mounted and ask yourself, when was the last time you deep cleaned your windshield? How long has it been since you wiped the dust off of the camera lens? These both play a huge role in the quality of your footage. There's another side to dash cams that not many people tend to talk about. Dash cam footage can be considered legal evidence, which is great if somebody has done something wrong to you. Awesome. But if you're the one that has done something wrong to somebody else, it can be used against you. Traffic violations, accidents, etc. Before you hand over your footage, make sure you watch it back first to make sure that you're not incriminating yourself. You might think that the story is that somebody just pulled out in front of you and caused the accident, but if it turns out that you were actually going 30 over the speed limit, things might not go your way. If the police see that you have a dash cam installed, they can even get a warrant for the footage if they really want it bad and they truly believe that it's going to show a crime has been committed. These cases are probably pretty rare, but certainly possible. Just remember that any of your own wrongdoings are also recorded in high definition. So drive as if you're being watched, because technically you are. Or at least be prepared to eat the memory card if you have to. But also don't eat the memory card. Another downside is that it's a shiny object that could attract thieves. We all know that leaving a $300 pair of sunglasses in clear view is an invitation to a broken window. So what's the difference between that and an electronic gadget that's mounted right to the glass? These things could easily be resold for drug money or paying off your uncle's gambling debt. Don't believe me? Well, I once had a window smashed in my old Grand Cherokee because of a knapsack that was in the trunk. They probably thought I had a laptop or something in it. Well, the joke's on them. It was full of trailer hitches, and I'm willing to bet that based on the angle of the window, their rotator cuff has since left the chat. That's a shame. There's one more potential downside. If you don't have the parking mode settings set correctly, it can definitely murder your battery. Most of these cameras have fail-safes built into them where if it senses that your voltage of your battery has dropped too much, it'll shut itself off. But you can't always rely on that. Remember that parking mode essentially leaves it turned on and recording all the time. So if your battery is starting to get old, you might run into some problems. So how does the Viofo dash cam perform? Well, let's take a look. For starters, there's a few options for downloading the footage from the camera. So you can use the USB cable to connect directly to a device, or you can download the Viofo app on your phone, and that allows you to connect to the camera via Wi-Fi. For me, I find it easiest to just pull the SD card out of the side of the camera and I pop it into the adapter that Viofo includes, I stick it into my laptop and I can access all the files really quick that way. And there's a lot of files when you have it set to sort of 1-minute loops. I think that's the default setting. I find that's the quickest and easiest way if you're trying to get as many files as you want, because it takes a while to download them sort of 1 minute at a time on your phone. Low light performance is, I think, one of the biggest questions that people have about any of these dash cams. And in this case, it's pretty good. As you can see, this footage is clear enough to be able to see this moron make a left turn from the wrong lane, and this old timer stop for a little look-see at the naughty store. Hey, Helga's waiting for you, bud. Get going. You are able to make out license plates in the daytime and at night, but there's a kind of a few variables here. Number one is how far away the vehicle is from you, obviously. And the lighting makes a big difference as well. But another big thing is the speed that the vehicle is traveling compared to the dash cam. If it's just zipping by or you're passing somebody, then it's kind of blurry. It's a little bit hard to capture that. And I think if you were to pause the video and take a screenshot and be able to zoom in, you might be able to still make out a lot of these license plates. But at nighttime, especially when you have a glare from the headlights, it's very difficult to read the numbers on a license plate unless the vehicle is pretty close to you and you're matching the same speed. Street signs are pretty easy to read during the daytime footage, and at nighttime, I'd say for the most part you can read them, but again, it depends on the glare and sort of the angle of the lighting. The sound recording picks up everything from inside the cabin. Here you can listen to my little guy's rendition of the ABCs. Parking mode works pretty well too. And this is really helpful because depending on where you live and your insurance company, a lot of the time if somebody bumps into you in a crowded parking lot and you don't have their license plate number, you're going to have to pay your own deductible, whatever that might be. But if you do have a license plate number to provide to your insurance company, they'll go after their insurance company for your deductible and you are free and clear of the cost of any repairs. So what's the bottom line here? If you're wondering whether or not a dash cam is for you, the first step of figuring it out is to be really honest with yourself. Are you a good driver? Like, seriously, are you well behaved on the roads all the time? If you truly feel like you don't make many mistakes when you're behind the wheel and you want to be able to monitor what all the other nut jobs are doing around you, then getting a dash cam is probably a good idea. I chose to put one in my 4Runner here because here in Ontario we've been flooded with new drivers that didn't exactly get their license in Ontario. It seems like every time I leave my house, I see somebody pulling a Hoover maneuver that's even crazier than the last one. So something's bound to happen, and I want to catch it on camera. If you're interested in buying one of these Viofo dash cams for yourself, and you found this video helpful, you can use this code right here at the link down below for a 5% discount. It also gives me a little kickback, which is helpful because I really need to stop working for free all the time. Now, if you're watching this video because you're interested in learning how to keep your car safe, you might want to check this video out next, where I break down things that do and don't help to protect it from being stolen.